What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the best channel on YouTube. Today we are back here, Podcast Sundays. Best podcast you'll ever hear in your life. Okay? You dropping this knowledge while getting you this fire gameplay. Alright? So today it's gonna be a little something different, as you probably see in the title. Um, we're going based off an article that my father had shared with me and my cousin. Because he enjoys the podcast. So we decided, we asked him if he has any topics to let us know, and he sure did. Okay, so the article is basically speaking on different things on how to, find out what you want to do in life, um, and basically how to find fulfilling work. So that's what the article is about, and then we're going to go into the 10 different people that had put their take on it, and then we're going to break down what these people said, and their opinions, and then we're going to put our 2 cents in. We'll go from there. So let's just hop right into it. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. Podcast Sunday. We're here with my cousin Terrence. Very special guest, as always. As I explained before, we are going off of the article my dad had gifted us. Gifted us
some
with
new
that
content.
knowledge. Exactly.
Some new content. That things
Thanks,
actually
Dad.
says content partner.
Exactly.
On the article.
Exactly. And all the article is going to be linked in the description if you want to read it for yourself. Even though we're going to be talking about it, it's always good to read. So go do that if you get your own read in. All right. So the first one we got here, as I explained before, is from Gary. I'm gonna just say V because I do not want to butcher his name in case he ever sees this. Gary V.
Vaynerchuk.
Jeez. About to come and see this, then he's gonna slap you because you said his name wrong.
Never that.
Yeah, so like I said, everybody has, this article is basically the different takes people have on the title, which is, it says, no idea what to do with your life? Gary Vaynerchuk, dang, I said it. And others explain how to find fulfilling work. So these are 10 different takes on the same, could you call it headline or whatever?
Yeah, same idea. I guess the whole
yeah.
point is mainly just 10 takes from 10 different people on how to find your passion.
Yeah. All right. So, like I said, there's the first take, Gary V, and his is try many different things. And I'm just going to read through it, and then we'll sit back and discuss. So, find a job, or build a business based on whatever you like to do when you aren't working. Don't know what you like? Try different things. Test out everything from operations to sales. Travel and take hula dancing and pizza making classes. Putting yourself into a position to do that might mean working a side hustle after your 9-to-5 job. Email people asking for a month-long internship to learn from them for free. Try as many things as possible because you won't get anywhere by guessing.
Yeah, I think that's a great one to start off with, and Gary V is just known for his advice and his boisterous comments is just as far as this is pretty much his MO. Do what you do and try as many different things. Reach out to a bunch of different people because eventually something will stick and you'll figure out what you want to do.
Yeah,
and I definitely agree. Some of the stuff he's saying is kind of hyperbolic in a way, where he's talking about hula dancing and pizza making.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're somebody that knows kind of a sense of your direction, you don't have to go to those extremes. But if you're just completely lost, like you said, trying out a bunch of different things. Obviously, if you need money for bills, you have a 9-to-5 job, and then your side hustle will be all these extra things that you may want to try out. And just finding it. In order to find yourself, you just gotta be willing to try and fail, and move on to the next thing. So, what do you think?
To be honest, I think in like a lot of the different things that we talk about, I am in the same exact situation, or
Mm-hmm.
something similar at least. So I'm actually in the
Yeah.
point where I am figuring different things out and trying to figure out exactly what I like and what I want to do and which direction I'm going. That was even one of the things that sprouted the gaming channel to start, was me trying
Mm-hmm.
something out. Um,
Yeah.
Look at us now.
But I think, I think that's huge. And as far as just trying many different things and to figure out what you want to do with your life, the biggest thing is to first try.
Yeah,
Um, and as we go to these different people down the list, we're gonna see different perspectives. But I know, plain and simple, the first one pretty much hits it right on the head. You got to be willing to try different things and fail if you want
exactly.
to really, um, make it big, or not necessarily make it big, but make it big personally.
Exactly.
Find out what you want to do and move forward from there.
Hmm.
Even if that means losing money,
Yeah.
working for free, which a lot of people don't like to do. But working for free and sacrificing,
Hmm.
in the upfront, so that eventually you can be mentally and spiritually, where you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like you said, it all starts with you trying. And if you don't try, then there comes the feeling of like regret, because then you're like, oh, what if I
Hmm.
did try? And maybe I'd be further in life and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And that's even one of the things that Gary
and yeah,
Vee always talks about. Um,
and I was gonna say that exact same
yeah,
thing. His biggest thing is like always talking about how he has a mentality of, he's in the present, he's regretting,
yeah,
thinking about regret,
yeah,
versus like, I was gonna tag on what you said before, which is basically like, in the present you never think about regret. It's always in the future when you've already failed and you're at
exactly,
your lowest of the low. But in
exactly.
the present tense, you're never actually thinking about, oh, am I going to regret this, not doing this? You may think about it, but you can't completely understand it
Definitely.
until you get to that point where you've already lost that opportunity.
Yeah.
So just putting yourself in a position to just be like consciously aware of,
Hmm.
this time in your life, and taking the jump.
Yeah. Um, and just definitely, I mean, another thing that Gary Vee talks about a lot is that failure is actually a good thing. So you can't be afraid to fail,
Right.
because you can only learn from failure. You don't learn from succeeding. I mean, you do learn from
Hmm.
succeeding, but you don't. There's only one way to succeed, which is through failure, because you learn what to do and what not to do. So
Uh,
you can't be scared to take the steps, knowing that you might fail or might succeed. Then you will never know. Like I said,
yeah.
you'll get into the not even tried thing, and then you'll have regrets. And you'll be like, what if I did? I could have possibly succeeded. And then even if you would
Hmm.
have failed, you would have still learned something to help you to succeed in the future. So you have to kind of go at it
Yeah.
with a sort of fearless mentality, which I know is very difficult for a lot of people. But yeah, so you just definitely have to make sure that that you have the mindset that you know that failure is most likely going to happen, but that's not a bad thing. So
Hmm.
um don't psych yourself up thinking that you're going to fail every
Yeah.
time and stuff like that, because if you think of failure as a good thing, where that you can learn from something, then it won't seem as mentally taxing to you if you think about trying new things and building yourself up, and self-care and stuff like
Yeah. And when people think about failure, they think of like always the catastrophic failures.
that. Hmm.
They don't think about like the little like mini failures.
Yeah.
And I think it's important when you're going through those failures or those ups and downs, take note of what's going wrong. We talk about this podcast every single week
Yeah,
after it gets put out on YouTube, and like we figure out how we can make it better for the next week.
exactly.
And you could look at that as a mini failure of like, oh, we could have did this better, we could have did this
Yeah,
better.
yeah, yeah.
So just because you're not completely a failure, you don't feel like a failure in life, doesn't mean you're not going through
Hmm.
some challenges,
Yeah,
and addressing them.
yeah,
So understand that at the same time.
yeah. So it's definitely, you have to when you're doing this, you have to definitely make sure you're reassessing, let's say, everything that you do, because that sounds kind of tedious, but just make sure
Pretty
that
much.
you're not failing and not learning. In order to learn from failure, you have to assess what you've done right, what you've done wrong. So you can't
Right.
just fail and stay there. That's not going to
Yeah,
help you.
and this doesn't. Yeah, and a lot of people take what Gary says out of context too, just because he says like try a bunch of different things, and they're like, oh, just because you try bunch of different things doesn't mean you're actually going to find what you love. It's like, well, yeah, if you just do it blindly, if you just
Yeah.
go hula hooping and pizza making, but you don't actually like make a journal of like what you like, what you
Yeah.
don't like, if you're not self-analyzing along the process, you're never gonna find what you like. You're just gonna try a bunch of different things and be lost.
Yeah.
So you have to always take that, like you said, take that step and analyze yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So the next one we're gonna go through is Marla Beck. She's co-founder and CEO of Blue Mercury, bought by Macy's for $200 million.
Sheesh.
I'm not really familiar with her, but she sounds like she's a very successful entrepreneur. And her tip is to become an expert at what you enjoy doing. So she says that you should think about how you want to spend your time long term. Take online classes, become an expert at what you'd love to do. When you're the most knowledgeable person in the area of expertise, doors will open for you. Reflect on what you find interesting and what you enjoy about your job. Is it being behind your computer or interacting with colleagues? Author Jim Collins talks about finding the intersection of what you're good at, what you like to do, and what you get paid for. Read about others' careers, consider a path that you wish you had. If you think I would love to have that opportunity, then that tells you something. I had the perfect job after graduating school, and I decided instead to build a company from scratch. Remember, nothing is permanent. Every day and every decision won't be perfect, but you can always make a change and learn along the way. So,
Sure.
yeah, what do you think about that one?
Yeah, so it's like I said, a lot of this different stuff like pertains to myself. I'm still young, still learning, so I'm in it. So I'm speaking about it from my own personal, because I'm learning while I'm also talking about it. I'm sharing what I've learned as I'm going about it.
Right.
But with this is definitely essential to me. Because like,
expand on that a little bit, I guess, more detail.
Yeah. So like even with starting this channel, I came into it going based off of the knowledge I knew from me watching different people growing up playing video games and doing what they do, and kind of just going based off what I had seen other people do. So it wasn't really, I never really like analyzed and you're supposed to do this. I was going based off of my memory of what I seen other people do. I seen they did their thumbnails and intros and stuff like that. That's not bad. That's part of the trying thing, but you also have to grow. So what I believe she is hitting on is that you want to definitely, like she said in there, reflect on what you find interesting, what you enjoy about your job. So you have to, like I said, that's part of analyzing, which is to make look back, take a step back, look at your failures, look at what you like, what you don't like, and basically fix it. So you have to learn about what you want to get into, what you want to do. You have to make sure you take that time, and you have to just go into analyzing and improving. And that's how you'll begin to become an expert at what you do. I believe it's something that I read that says it takes 10,000 hours to master something or master.
That's what's his name? Malcolm Gladwell. 10,000 hours.
Got you. But so it's not gonna be overnight that you're gonna be an expert. Expert even sounds like something hard to obtain. But you just have to make sure that you're just constantly analyzing and improving to get to that point where you become an expert at what you want to do.
I think I mean, you kind of hit it right on the head there. this is kind of like this. I guess her perspective is more you found your passion, and now where do you go from there? And I think she pretty much hit it out the park when she says that you kind of have to look at people that you want and see what you like, find that balance between where you're good, what you like, and what you can get paid for. And that's something I've always preached, where it's like figure out how to master your craft first, and then the money will come. You could always find a way to monetize what you do as long as you're good at it, and you could grab people's attention, and you could bring some type of value to the table. And I'm always somebody that I have enough things on my plate so that I can balance being able to be invested in all of them. So I've had situations where I was personal training for a while, but I wanted to be able to be a better researcher when I was in undergrad. I wanted to devote more time to being great at that, being great in the classroom, and the money that was coming in from doing personal training and doing that, it was great, but I didn't feel like I was able to give my best to personal training because I was selling myself. I felt I was selling myself short and spreading myself too thin with all these other things going on in my life. And I didn't want to be that person that just comes into the gym, gives their clients lazy work, and then goes home and collects a paycheck. I wanted to be able to give my all, and I felt like I was at a point where I was stagnant as far as not wanting to put in that extra effort, or not being able to put in that extra effort to give my clients the best that they deserve. So I had to cut something out, and so I wholeheartedly believe in getting great at something, expert at being an expert at what you enjoy doing, and taking to that next level so that you can then find a way to get paid for it, while loving it at the same time.
And that's even a great attitude to have, where you said that you wanted to make sure that you're giving your all to your work, because a lot of people, being honest, don't. They would just go home with the paycheck. They don't care. They don't. So I mean that's.
And I didn't have any money. That was my only source of income.
that's even stronger. So. But that could even set you apart in like whatever you want to do, to have that type of mentality where you're giving your all. 'Cause like I said, a lot of people don't. So if you're that person that people know gives their all, that are knowledgeable, that just know what they're talking about and actually care, then they will most likely want to give you the money that they're going to give to anybody else because of that attitude. Right. Like I know if somebody was like, let's just say I'm at the grocery store, somebody packing my bags, if they're just doing it all lazily, or whatever, something like that, you don't even pay them your bags.
Comes off wrong.
No, I'm trying to see a good. I don't even know. I might just cut that out.
Like, it's like a retail. It's like any retail worker, like
Yeah. I mean, it just gives you
Like, there's people, you see the stories all the time. You see the stories all the time where they're like, these rich guys will walk into a spot and they'll see somebody working retail and they have a drive about them, and a passion, and they're like, hey, come work for me, quit your job, come work for me, type of situation. And as movie
sounding
seen as that sounds and generic as that sounds, that's something I would do if I see somebody. He doesn't even have to be at that level, but like, let's say as a med student, me going into medical school, if a doctor sees that I'm putting in the extra work, and I'm somebody that is proactive and has a good attitude about everything, they're gonna be more willing to be like, hey, come work under me, learn from me, spend more time with me, take me out to lunch, different things like that. And that could happen in the day-to-day of anybody's life, when you're up and coming, by just focusing on mastering your craft and not being mesmerized by the people that you look up to, but saying like, how did they get to that point? And figuring out your path of how you can make it happen. I actually wanted you to expand a little bit more on like your, you mentioned a little bit, and I was interested to hear your take on this, because you mentioned before how you modeled after other gamers, but did you I guess now, in your sense now, like how are you kind of looking to improve your area of expertise as far as gaming, now with the podcast, and different things like that?
I mean, I don't even watch. To be honest, I don't even watch too much gaming videos on YouTube anymore, so I can't say that I'm still modeling after different people. I kind of got like the base, and then I'm just building. I'd say the way I'm going about it is just learning what I personally like and dislike. So I really can't go off anything except for that, because right now I don't have like too much of a following, so I can't get like opinions from people that watch me. So I basically have to just go based off what I like, what I dislike, and see how it works and see how it flows. And then I'd have to just basically, I'd have to kind of think of myself as a viewer. So I have to put myself in that perspective.
Right.
So I critique my own.
So right now it's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say that exact same thing. Right now it's really about being like self-critical.
Yeah.
For you.
But like I said, so I have to step out of my own creator mindset and think into the viewer's mindset. Would I watch this? Would I be attentive to this? Would I stick around? Would I subscribe to this channel? Because like I said, I don't have like the huge following like how JoJo has. I have to basically come up with the critiques myself. Then once I do get that following, then I'll be able to have the different opinions that could help me. But in order for me to grow right now, I have to then figure out what's good for myself, and then even like ask like I'll even ask you what could be changed, and even my dad, and just or like the people around me that watch my stuff. Just I'm getting as many different opinions as I possibly can, as many different perspectives, and improving based on that. And then that's
yeah. And I think that's huge. I think that's huge. Even if you don't have a big following, figuring out, but even like little things, you know, I guess this is like advice on the spot or feedback on the spot, but it's like even little things like, you know, maybe you don't necessarily have to, like, let's say you don't necessarily have to look up at other YouTubers to be like, hey, what can I do to be better? It could just be a simple scenario of like you looking up videography, like how to put together a better video or how to edit better, looking up skills in that realm so that you can improve your product and not necessarily having to model after somebody, but now let's say you looked up how to do certain edits or a certain style of edit, you implement that into your video now to now improve your product. And that's, you know, constantly learning and perfecting your craft without getting that, you know, feedback from viewers. Because honestly, I mean, viewers, they're not going to know the nitty-gritties of saying like the tight details. So that's all learning that you have to do on your own and self-reflect on your own. But they'll tell you
if they like something or if they
as
don't.
Far as entertainment standpoint, if they like it, exactly. So, but that sets into the third one on the list here. That's a good segue. Stepping outside your comfort zone. You mentioned before stepping outside of your comfort zone to, or stepping outside your own perspective to see other things and really putting yourself in a vulnerable position to critique yourself. So I guess we could go on to the third one.
So step outside of your comfort zone. This one is from Dottie Herman. She's the CEO of Douglas Elliman. I hope I pronounced that right. A real estate brokerage empire with more than 27 billion annual sales. Jeez. So she's her take on it is essential, but I'm gonna just read it and then we're gonna discuss it. Alright, so Dottie Herman. Explore your passions and what's right for you. For your passions and what's right for you, which will change over time. Life is a journey, so look at every job as a stepping stone towards your destination. What are you good at? What makes you happy? Write down your answers and see if they give if they give you direction. Consider companies with learning opportunities and a boss you admire, because your working environment will dictate much of your satisfaction. If you are interested in what you're doing, you probably aren't operating at your best. So check in with yourself occasionally. Be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. If you be willing to step outside of your comfort zone, keep doing the same thing, you'll keep getting the same results. Network, explore opportunities within your company, and get involved in organizations you're passionate about. Building new connections can get you to the next chapter. So I guess you can start off on that one, Terrence. Stepping outside of your company.
Yeah, so I agree 100%. Everything I've done in the past 4 years of my academic life, it took me out of my comfort zone. Whether it was joining clubs for the first time, going to a meeting, a club meeting, and it could literally just be a case of like, oh, I'm tired tonight. I don't feel like going to that. And you could just easily skip out. But you step outside your comfort zone to meet new people and be a part of something new. Whether that's joining a club, working in a new environment, trying something new for the first time. And it's often, you're in a good position where you could try something new without getting judged because you don't have anybody watching you. You don't have much following, so it's not like people are writing nasty comments. When you try stuff for the first time in like a real world scenario, like you try a volunteer opportunity and you mess up or you look bad in front of the people, you feel shamed and all that stuff. So that could be even harder in that scenario. So, but the biggest thing is you will be fine. Life goes on, and at the end of the day, you might look dumb to a couple people, but as long as you are self-aware enough to know that you're not actually stupid, you're just new at something, and you will learn to be better, and you'll improve over time. Another thing that you mentioned here, looking at every job as a stepping stone towards your destination. I told you, I think I've sent this to our group chat, and I've said this before, where until we get to our end goal of our end job or our end career, whether that's somebody me studying in medicine, I won't be a doctor for another 10 years, or somebody that just goes into college out of high school, they're going to have to wait another 4 years for their career, plus a master's if they do a master's, or whatever the case may be. Even if you're an entrepreneur, you're never going to be at your final stages until you get 10 to 15 years into the business, 20 years, 30 years into the business, where you're finally highly profitable, hopefully. So it's important to look at everything you're doing up to that point as training, and understanding that you're really just training right now. You don't have to really love everything you do and every element of every job you do, but you have to understand that this is a stepping stone. And in order for you to be good at this one thing, you might have to train in this one area that you may not like all the way, but you're gaining a skill that you could now grab and use as you work up the ladder. So you might have a side job, bagging groceries, or just like being a cashier at a grocery store. Like I had that job when I was a freshman, sophomore in college, and that didn't give me much skill at all. It doesn't take much skill to count back change, but it gave me skill in being person to person, saying hello to everybody and trying to give quality customer service and putting a smile no matter how tired you are and how many hundreds of customers you see a day, and you're ringing up thousands of items a day, and it's a repetitive thing that machines do now, and computers can do self checkout, but you're there to provide a happy smile, help somebody out if they're lost, and there was people that would come in every single weekend that I would be working, and they recognize me, they say hello, we'd have conversation. So it just taught me to be a better person and learn to suck it up at times and just put a smile on my face, because I could potentially impact somebody else's day with a smug attitude. So although obviously I'm not going to be the CEO of Best Market food store, but I'm going to take that skill and now apply it to the the thing
Yeah,
I actually
exactly.
want to go towards.
So
You know?
you have to,
I
definitely
think, you know,
find the positives or the learning experiences in every job. Nobody would think that you would get conversation skills.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's part of stepping out of your comfort zone, because you have to know that everything is not going to be perfect, but you have to have your mindset on how can I flip everything that I do in a way that it benefits me for my future
yeah,
self and future
yeah.
career.
So yeah, no, that's definitely key. Like I said, you have to make sure that you're always analyzing. Like all these. Well, I mean, the articles are basically talking about the same thing, just different perspectives. That's why they all kind of
Hmm.
mesh together. But you definitely have to even. I mean, I agree with like everything Terrence said. Um, even like you like I said, you wouldn't even think of that you could gain anything um from working at a supermarket cashier. You
Right.
you have to look at the different things. Like I can think of like two different things. You can gain like you said, conversational skills. Want to go into
Hmm.
accounting or whatever, math or whatever. It's you have to just always look at the
Uh-huh.
different stuff that are benefiting you or that can benefit you before putting down something.
Right.
Like most people would put down a cashier job, like, oh,
Hmm.
that's too low for me or something like that. You have to figure out. It's like she said, it's
Right.
all stepping stones. So no matter how big the stone is, it's always going to
Hmm.
elevate you. You have to make sure it's always like, no matter
Yeah.
how small a step is, it's always elevate you higher than you were before. Um,
Hmm.
mhm.
And I love how she said here, if you keep doing the same
Yeah,
thing, you'll get the same results. And like you always hear the quote that like insanity is
over
just
and
doing the
over.
same thing over and over and
Exactly.
expecting a different result. And like you could literally be in a situation
Yeah,
where you feel insane, where it's like I'm doing
yeah,
all that I can, but I'm still
yeah,
stuck in the same place. And people that are really self-aware would be like, there's
yeah,
clearly something you're doing wrong. There's clearly something that you can improve on, or something you could do to step out of the comfort element that you are. You know, stepping out of your comfort zone is not necessarily leaving your job and quitting your
yeah.
job and going doing something else. It could just literally be stepping out of your comfort zone of a
Exactly.
mentality, stepping out of your comfort zone in how you approach
Yeah.
a problem. So if you approach a problem and you typically freak out right away and you get all panicky and you need
Hmm.
somebody to calm you down and you take a whole day to just
Yeah.
deal with a dilemma, then you know you're always going to be
Exactly.
one day behind somebody else that's taking 20 seconds to say, oh my god, this is really
Yeah.
overwhelming, but how can I
Exactly.
fix this? And they're automatically going into solving mode, and you take 24 hours to now
Hmm.
engage in
Yeah.
solving mode, you know? So it's just like stepping out of a comfort zone could be a mentality, which is something that holds
Exactly.
a lot of people back. And it could also be stepping out of a comfort zone as far as a drastic one where you're just changing a job or, you know, trying something new for the first
Yeah,
time.
and even one thing that you had said before, or I think it was I might have seen it in the previous article. Somebody had said, no, she had
Uh huh.
said, nothing is permanent. So you have to just remember when you're stepping out of your comfort zone,
Right.
even if you're in discomfort, it's not forever. Like it's something that you go through. It's nothing that you're gonna
Right.
stay in. There's no crazy thing that's gonna hurt you. It's something that you can learn from. Like I said, you always have to find out what you can learn from every situation, even though it feels like you're not in the spot where you want to be in life, or you're not doing exactly what you want to do. You just have to make sure you can find out what exactly it is that you can learn from the situation, which you can benefit, and what you can apply to something that you really do want to do, and make sure make that successful.
Exactly.
So yeah, that was our takes on the three different topics or three different opinions on from this article. Like I said, there are 10 different ones, I believe. So we hit three of them today. So we'll definitely be going to the next seven as we go on. But appreciate you watching as always. Thank you, Terrence, for coming out.
Of course.
Hopping
It's been a
on,
pleasure.
sir. And we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.